31 years later, still has a friend in me. Why, hello there YouTube and welcome to a random review. I am Random Ross, and with Toy Story 5 coming out in June, I thought, why not revisit the originals and the classics, go back to where it all started with Toy Story. So this is written by John Lasseter and Pete Docter and Andrew Stanton and Joe Ranft. Directed by John Lasseter, starring Tom Hanks, Tim Allen, Annie Potts, John Rosenberg, Don Rickles, Wallace Shawn, and Jim Venery. So this follows a cowboy doll and is profoundly jealous when a new spaceman action figure suddenly supplants him as a top toy, supplants him or whatever as the top toy of the bedroom. When circumstances separate them from their owner, the duo have to put aside their differences to return to him. And of course, in this, the owner, being Andy, is moving, and during this time where Woody envies his Buzz over Andy playing with him more, he accidentally has him kicked out the window, and they end up at the neighbour's house where Sid lives, who loves to dismantle and torture toys for fun. But of course, in the end, Woody finds out that Sid's toys aren't so bad as they look, and by breaking a few rules, they scare Sid into being nice, and Woody and Buzz, manage to make it to the moving van in time where they're reunited with Andy. So what did I like about this one? Well, this film in 1995 broke a lot of boundaries. First of all, it was the first full feature-length film, only running for 80 minutes, but it was the first animated film to be done by computers, which at the time was groundbreaking. No film, I don't think, had ever been made by this before. It was the first feature film from Pixar. I mean, Pixar did make a little short computer animated film before, but this one was the one that put them on the map. And with Disney's involvement, they were able to get going and make this film happen. And the computer visuals and stuff, the animation is just spot on and still holds up to this very day. And it's just great animation, and it's just good. The toys were all good. I love this whole premise, like when people are not around, toys come to life. It's something that we've always felt like as a kid, when we played with our toys, we always looked at them as like real people and stuff, and the fact that we see them come alive is just, I don't know, it's just, how do the toys come alive? How are they alive? Does it really need any logical explanation for it? It's fantasy, it's made up, and at the time I didn't care about that. I was like, the toys are alive, and I just loved that premise. I also liked our characters, not just Woody and Buzz, but other memorable characters like Mr. Potato Head, Slinky, Rex, and delivering on the comedy and the fun stuff, the adventures. Great soundtrack as well as in there. A few songs written by Andy, performed by Andy Newman, I know at least, and such as the theme "You Got a Friend in Me" and "Strange Things Are Happening to Me," and yeah, it's just great animation. Also, there was a scene where, because the film opens where it's Andy's birthday and he's getting new toys. If you look closely, you notice that all of Andy's friends look exactly like Andy. And this was a fact here that I never really noticed till years later as well. Because this was the first animated feature done on computers. They needed to save a bit of money or what have you, I don't know. But Not that we really notice, because all our focus is on the toys, which is very cleverly done. And I just thought, this was fun. I feel that this is something that we're never too old for. We're never too old for Disney. And even as an adult now, watching Toy Story as a kid, I still love it to this very day. I remember I got it for Christmas on video in 1996, I think it was. And I just watched it a lot. I couldn't get enough watching it. It was just a fun film to watch. Tom Hanks and Tim Allen voicing Woody and Buzz. They have such great, comedic timing and duo. And Buzz Lightyear, he genuinely believes he's the real Buzz Lightyear, but is unaware that he is a toy. I mean, yeah, there's some plot holes like how does he know to freeze when Andy comes into the room and all that. You know what? I didn't really pay much attention to that. I didn't notice. I just enjoyed it for what it was. Also, a few references to horror movies in there, with the director being a fan of The Shining, during the scene where Woody and Buzz are walking through the landing of Sid's house. If you look closely, the carpet is printed like those from The Shining, and the bit where Woody rotates his head around, call back to The Exorcist, to scare Sid. But 81 minutes. It doesn't feel that long. It feels a bit longer, but I don't care because, Toy Story always will have a place in my heart. I had the toys from that era, Woody and Buzz, even Mr. Potato. My sister, she had the Jessie doll from Toy Story 2, which we'll get to in that. But yeah, even generations later, kids today are still watching it and knowing it. Even my nephew, who's 4 years old, he loves Toy Story as well and watches it on Disney Plus. But yeah, and I even still have my Woody and Buzz toys around here somewhere, and Toy Story, classic, one of the best animated features of my childhood. And this came out during Disney's Renaissance era where, Disney just couldn't go wrong with their movies. After the dark age of the 80s, they bounced back with The Little Mermaid that came out at the end of the 80s, and I feel really lucky and proud to have grown up in that era of Disney, with the Renaissance age, and that as a kid I got to experience animation like computer animation that hadn't been done at the time before much. I mean, yeah, the 90s was an experimental Asia animation. They tried making animated TV shows with computers in the later 90s. And, like I say, Toy Story just broke boundaries and it just went to infinity and beyond. Yeah, I know that's tacky, but, I like Disney. I like Toy Story. And, I've never grown tired of watching it all these years later. And yeah, I always liked the characters like Mr. Potato Head and Slinky, thinking, he's a dog that's a Slinky, how does that work? I don't care, it's just fun stuff and I enjoy it. So, Toy Story, what am I going to rate this? You know what? It's a no-brainer, it gets a 5 out of 5 from me. 5 out of 5 for Toy Story 2, so there you go. There is my review for that one. Have you seen it? Let me know what you think down below in the comments. If you like this video, be sure to give it a big thumbs up and to share with your friends, and feel free to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. All of my social media links are linked down below in the description, so feel free to check all that out. I've been Random Ross. This has been a random review, and until next time, I bid you all a goodbye, friends. Goodbye.